Hello there, crafters. Today we are talking about following Jesus and how he makes us fishers of men. Well, it's a story that comes up a lot and lends itself to many fun craft possibilities. And today we're going to make one that is pretty standard to the fishers of men idea, and another that reminds us to look to Jesus and follow him. So the first thing we're going to make is a little bit of a garland, and we're going to use paper fish to remember how Jesus wants us to fish for people. So just like you would maybe string fish along a wire after you've caught a whole bunch of fish, we're going to do that, and it can be something that could be a necklace or a wall hanging or some sort of a display garland. I don't know about actually catching fish because I'm not usually too successful about that, but I can do some paper fish. So let's get started. So we're going to start out with several different kinds of paper or cardstock or whatever, and I'm going to cut out some fish. So you can draw these ahead, or you can just kind of do your best at freehanding your cutting of fish. And you can do various sizes. These ones are going to be a little bit bigger, like I'm making that big garland. But we could also do some slightly smaller fish. So I'll cut a couple of smaller fish as well. Snippity snip. And you can make them like really cool and awesome and elaborate, or you can make them really simple. I'm kind of aiming a bit more for the simple route. But there we have our fish. Now what we're going to do with these fish is I'm going to also make a little marker here to explain and understand why I'm having these random fish. So with this, I'm going to just simply write down follow Jesus, be fishers of men. And now on my fish, I'm going to write down ways that we can follow Jesus. So kids can help brainstorm and come up with these ideas of how to follow Jesus. And then together, we can write things like read God's Word, go to church or Sunday school, or both. Can say, tell others about God's love. We can say, help someone in need. One of the most important things we can do, pray and listen for God. So there's some ideas of ways that we might follow Jesus or become followers of his, become these fishers of men. Then we're going to string these guys up. So I'm going to just make a nice hole punch. You can punch the tails or the head or whatever you find best. I'm going to punch their tails. Then I'm going to use some ribbon or yarn or other kind of string. And depending on how long you want this to be, or how, if you want it to string across like a garland or necklace, you can vary the length, but we'll just string these guys along on my ribbon slash yarn slash whatever material I happen to be using. And there we have our delightful decoration that reminds us to follow Jesus and be fishermen too. So there's our lovely display. Again, multiple ways you can use this. Necklace, garland, door hanger, luggage tag, whatever. But we have our fishies, hooray. And I'm going to tie this around like a very long necklace, but that's just to keep the fish from going on swimming away. If you're going to tie it onto something, you might not want to tie it off completely. Anyways, there we have our fishy garland. Now, number 2 craft, we're going to make a bit of a pinwheel here. And this is to remind us of how we should follow Jesus. I'm going to put a little cross at the center here. Actually, this cross is white, and so is my plate, so I'm going to attach it to something else first. And I'm going to say, follow Jesus. And to go with my pinwheel theme here, I'll say, spin your world around him, or your life, or something like that. Now we're going to color this just in fun decorative ways. You can kind of color on a triangular pattern, or perhaps you want to just go all over the place and go to town if you've got younger kids. You can make some swirls. You can make some zigzags and crisscrosses and polka dots and whatever you want to do. As usual, we're doing the fast-paced version here, so we're just kind of doing some basics. But please feel free to go to town in whatever way you would like to. Then you'll see momentarily what we're going to do with all this wild, outlandish color. You can use markers as well. I'm using crayons because sometimes they kind of are easier to shade with or stand out better. You can also use colored pencils, whatever you happen to have. Da, da, da. Then, once you've got all your color on there, which will look much nicer because this is the fast version, speedy job. After you've got it all colored, we're going to cut some alternating pieces out of this, which we will fold back to make sort of this windmill effect. So, got all our color on there now. We're going to kind of just cut out, not all the way, but sort of just cutting it to the center to where that cross is. That sort of helps me to see where the center is. If you draw it on, you can just cut it almost to there. And then we'll sort of cut kind of where the color is, just a few inches. We'll cut a triangle. We'll cut triangles out, just kind of space them pretty evenly apart. Then, once we've got that cut all the way around in my relatively somewhat sort of kind of even spacing, we're going to bend some of these back. So we'll sort of just gently twist every other one and kind of bend it back a little bit. You want to bend it at a slight angle so you can sort of still see the color. And then you've got what looks somewhat like a flower, somewhat like a windmill, and you can do a couple of things with this. You can put it on a stick. If you have a stick that didn't wander away, there it is. So you can put this on a stick if you want to just hold it up or hang it or put it up somewhere, stick it somewhere like a windmill. Or you can even use a brad fastener if you really want to spin it around and watch the spinning action. Or you can also dangle it. So I can put a punch in the top here and attach some string, some yarn or ribbon or pipe cleaner, and then find a place to hang it, sort of like a mobile, and watch as it spins around and around, and those colors spin around and around, and we remember that we follow Jesus, just as these things always follow the cross because it's in the center. So kind of a goofy, zany, fun excuse to color and cut things, because who doesn't love that? But also a way to remember the story and to remember the importance of following Jesus. So we have our pinwheel, we have our festive fish here, and you have a couple more ways to communicate the story, rather than just making another fishing pole that says Fishers of Men, which is also fun, but you know, trying to get creative here. So feel free to adapt, adjust, change these, use them for another story, whatever suits you and your ministry, wherever and with whomever that might be. So go make some crafts, make some disciples, have a great week. We'll see you next time.